I'm Candace, and today I'm really excited about our episode. We are going to talk all about motherhood and womanhood. And typically we have Darlene, but today she had other things going on. So I have a very special guest, someone who is my best friend, who is a mother, who is a professional. She's currently full time in school. So she's juggling a lot of different things. And we wanted to talk about, motherhood and womanhood in a modern day context and how some of the challenges and things that we've done to kind of overcome it. So, welcome, Taylor.
Hey, hey.
I'm excited to have you here. We always have our conversation, so it's exciting to bring it to the wider audience.
Yes, it
So,
is.
motherhood. You've been a mother for what, like 11, 12, forever?
Forever. Feel like it. Shoot. Yes. I sure have. And
Well, how was it like starting out? Because you never really talked about it. You just did it. Like, I was like, look at her going.
right. And you know what? When I did it, for one, I had so much help. So it's not like, did it by myself. My mom and grandma, everyone was there. So I had a lot of help in figuring it out, a baby. And of course, I'm the oldest of three. Well, I'm the oldest of them. So yeah, it was just kind of like, I think, a natural transition, if you will, in a way.
Kind of just ease right into it.
Yeah, just being like the oldest. But again, I didn't know it all. So I had a lot of help with that. And now, like we said, 11, 12, forever years later, kind of feel like a pro.
Oh, I got this.
Right, it's second nature.
Yeah, for me, the story was totally different. So, like, I learned how to adult for like the same 11, 12 years. And then jumped into it recently, and I love it. It's actually one of the things that I'm most proud of doing. Which is a shock to me because you know me from back in the day, and that person would have never had children. I'm certified about that. But it's interesting how people change your life in certain ways and experiences change your life in certain ways that you could never see coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now here I am 12 years later with my first child. And what's difficult for me is that the expectation. I feel like there's a pressure and an expectation.
Yeah, as a mother and a woman.
Like, oh, that's gonna come natural and you're gonna know everything. And I don't know everything. I figure things out along the way and I make sure I find an answer, but I think that's kind of toxic. Like when I was doing some research on what to feed the baby, like all these blogs had all these recommendations and everybody has strong positions on what to feed them, what not to feed them. But they're all
like everybody has an answer for everything.
But there was no general consensus. Like everyone said everything and everyone was shaming everyone. And I was like, this is not good. Like, so I stopped doing that. Unless it's for like health reasons, I'll look at, but for like food and stuff, I just ask my network personally, like some other people, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's damaging for women who, if you don't have a supporter, you don't have a network or like different people to talk to. Like I could see how mothers would get like really depressed.
Yeah, I can see that too, because it's like, you don't really know where to turn. And I mean, with Leah, for example, I didn't really have it all either because she only wanted to eat French fries and drink milk. So I'm like, well, baby can't live off of this, but she lived off of it until she was ready to start eating and never stopped. But, I mean, we have a mom around and she would cook all the time and all she wanted was like French fries, potatoes every now and then. But it is stressful because, you really don't know what to do at that point. And without a foundation or, it takes a tribe to raise a child. And it really does. So, yeah, I could definitely see how women go off the deep end. And, I can never see myself harming my child, but I understand how frustrating or how they might feel like they're not good enough for their child, So it's important to be able to have conversations.
I never had thoughts of like her, or I never even had thoughts of like giving up, but I just did have like thoughts of, man, this is like really, really hard. But it was just like,
Yep.
okay, I'm gonna have to do that. And my situation was kind of a little bit different because I'm not with her father. So like, giving birth was tough to say the least.
Right.
And then it was like me and her in the hospital. It was just me and her. Like my sister was there for a time, but then after the baby was gone, she left. And
Right.
so I was just sitting there cuddling her, and I just, did my little conversation with her. And I was just like, and at that moment, I was like, okay, it's just me and you, and we're going to make this happen. Which I wanted to kind of touch on the mindset of like the single woman, the independent woman, and all those things. I feel like that's also damaging to our society as women. Doesn't matter what color you are, but specifically Black women, because we're taught that we can do everything, and we do a lot of things. I'm not saying that we can't, but we deserve to be a part of a community, and it's necessary.
Right.
So I had to learn how to build relationships after when we got home. I was like, okay, we were in the hospital, we made it through that, but I couldn't imagine making it through the rest of the things that I had to make it through. So I made it a point to like find good healthcare. I made it a point to start reaching out to different family members and just being in a general area where they were so that I could get support.
Yep. And that's important. That's why when I had JV, I was just like, what, I need my mom to be here. I need all the help I could get because it's hard. Like, I don't think anybody can necessarily do it alone.
I don't think, when you told me that when I was pregnant, I was like,
I got this.
And then after I went through it, I was like, no.
This is way different than I imagined.
You can't imagine it. Honestly,
you can't.
People can tell you all day long, but you can't really describe it.
People get you ready and give you their experiences and how they do things, but it's never, ever how how you imagine or what you've been told. Everybody has a different walk, a different story. So.
And then babies. I only have one child, but are your babies different? Was caring for each one different? Do you have a boy and girl?
Yeah, I feel like they were pretty easy babies, so it wasn't too difficult. I feel like Leah slept a lot better than JV. And Leah is 11. For those watching, my son JV is 3, going on 15.
I love personality.
Yes, Leah slept really good. She was a really good baby. JV was a little whiny. I feel like boys, I don't want to put that, that stigma on them or whatever. But I feel like boys are a little different, a little bit more mama's boys, a little whinier than girls. So I feel like that was their difference. He didn't sleep through the night. He would wake up. Of course, he was breastfed for 2 years as well. So that's where those differences come in, I believe. Leah wasn't breastfed for long at all. But besides that, they were pretty good kids. I hear of a lot of different things. Kids colicky for months or having different issues. And thankfully, we didn't have any of that. So.
Lucky. He's actually a really good baby, to be honest. I think more than anything, I'm just in show.
That's how you can put her down and go to sleep. Like, you don't hear about that.
So yes, I did sleep train her by recommendation of that good doctor that I told you that I got. So they gave me this method of like weaning her off the bottles, and then I just let her cry for 2 nights, not like constantly. So I would let her cry for like 30 minutes, then I would come in, rub her tummy, but I wouldn't pick her up. I'd just rub her tummy, tell her it was okay, and then I'd leave the room. And then she would cry, but each time it got like less and less to the point where she just realized that she was good and it's kind of bedtime.
Yeah, she got used to it.
Yes, so that's now really 7 to 7 is party time in my house. Not really, but like you sleep. Because it's like,
good night, my turn. A glass of wine.
Yes, watching different shows and stuff. So since this is motherhood and womanhood episode, I wanted to talk about, did you see the last episode of Lovecraft Country?
No, we're supposed to watch it tonight. I cannot wait.
I won't go into it then. No spoiler alert here. But let me tell you, the reason why I like the show and the reason why I brought it up is because I feel like the story with the incorporations of the monsters and the time that it's set in really speaks to what sometimes women of color, sometimes men of color actually feel.
I
And
can't wait to watch.
yeah, those are my favorite parts about that show. But yeah, definitely check it out. And to all the viewers, if you're interested in that sort of thing, monsters and history, that's definitely a show to check out.
Yes.
Yeah. So also on the topic of womanhood, I wanted to bring to the forefront your relationship. Because not everything, but the reason why it's important to me and I think to the viewers is because I think your story is one that's told a lot, especially for women of color. I think it's rare. So
Yeah.
you and your husband have been together for like 10, 11 years now too.
Yeah, about 11 years, 11, 12 years. Let me, yes, since 2008. So do that.
Oh my gosh, yes, since
I
you've been out of high school.
know.
So you guys were
Crazy.
basically high school sweethearts.
Yeah, that's what I always say.
And we did like a dating episode last weekend. There were a lot of women who had that story, just not all of them were women of color. Actually, none of them were. So
Interesting enough.
yeah, so I think that's really dope to highlight that story and how you guys grew up together, basically, in a way.
Yeah, we did. And interesting enough, because I always tell people, I'm like, we met like the end of February that year, and we're kind of inseparable ever since. And I got pregnant in like June. So just imagine how many women that happens to, and they wind up being single. And that could have been my story, but no, I have the man who's been the father and been there the whole time. So that, I always think about that, like, wow, well, it could have been a whole different way. But so, yeah, we've been together for a long time. Relationships aren't easy. And I always tell people, I'm like, communication is key, trust and loyalty and communication is the number one, because that's one thing I always tell him when we get into it. It's like, all right, we need to communicate, because that's where you kind of can lose that, I guess, lose the trust or faith or, communication going bad isn't good. So we've been really good. We know each other now. It takes a long time to really know somebody. But at this point, we're just like, all right, well, when we argue, are we breaking up? No. All right, we'll get over it. It's kind of thing. So, yeah, it's definitely in the background, guys. Oh, wait. So, yes, he threw me off.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
But so real life, guys.
Communication, yeah, it's definitely necessary and a great point, and like highly, required in any relationship, really. Yeah, so I'm a single parent, and I have learned to communicate with. I hate the term baby daddy. Is there another term? Father of my child. I feel like baby daddy has such a negative connotation.
I know.
And it doesn't accurately describe.
Because when you think of baby daddy, like, don't think of, I don't know, I feel like it has kind of a negative vibe to it versus the other way of opposite of completely what you have. So.
Yeah, because we have a whole relationship, a whole foundation, and just because we're not together, it doesn't mean that those things aren't there. So, but yes, I had to learn how to communicate. And when you say, or at least for me, communication means like saying like the deeper things that I wouldn't necessarily like, because you can talk to someone all day long, but really being able to communicate like what I'm feeling in that moment, like, so what actions bring out of me, I think is more important than just saying, well, we talked.
Yeah, because then you're getting an argument, have to talk again. And those are things that we really have to get over. It's like, all right, well, let's get over. Let's actually really deep down talk. Otherwise, we're going to bring this up in every argument because we're not getting over it,
Yeah, we definitely. And with the whole co-parenting thing, I really had to like communicate because like, or at least for me, but I'm sure most moms, like as a new mom, I'm like, you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to do this. And I do that to myself, which I'm sure he parents differently. So I had to like, take it down. And I'm not perfect, but I'm getting better. So.
And after having a baby, I feel like those are the moments that either make or break, because I feel like after both of them is when things were a little timid. You know, it's a new baby. You're getting used to getting acclimated. It's like so much is going on, and maybe postpartum as well, a little bit with that. And you being the main source of that baby's world, you know, being the mother naturally. Yeah, those are rough times. So I think everybody, especially, you know, in your situation as well, in mine, those are really the make or break times of relationships or getting along or just whatever the case is.
Yeah, babies put all your relationships, to me, they put all my relationships to the test.
They do.
You want to know who your real friends are, have a baby.
Yep, that is so true.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, you and Brandon are interesting co-parenting too, especially so soon. Because sometimes it's like, all right, I'm scared, I'm gonna either run or no, I'm gonna be here for my baby. And Brandon stepped in, and he's been great.
He has, I did have concerns, and this is why I like this show, because we can really unearth some stereotypes that really just aren't true, and really take a look at like how they affect our thinking. Because early on, I have feared that he was going to do the things that I've heard that men do. I thought he was going to kind of, be like, this is too hard, this is whatever, and kind of step out. But he didn't. Like, he showed up for things, and he's learning to communicate, and we both kind of grew through this. And
he
so
moved.
I feel like
that was
now
a big step.
good place. What'd you say?
Yeah, I said he moved, so that was a big step too.
That was a huge step. Yeah, he kind of left everything that he was doing to really be a part of both of our lives. And so even though we're not together, we're I was, because I am dating. So I was having a conversation about this single parenthood thing. And so one of the guys that I was talking to, he's a single parent, and he was talking about his baby mama, and he was like, didn't necessarily include her as family. But Brandon's not that to me. He's actually included in my, like, not romantic thing area. That's kind of separate to me. But in my mind, when I think of a family, even though he's not in my house, we're still connected in that way to me.
Yeah. Yep.
So
cool.
A modern way to kind of view things in a certain way. And exactly. I think at the time, which will be difficult, but at the time we actually get into anything serious, whoever we are with would have to be a part of that family. It just got a little bit bigger. Kind of like with Jada. I don't know if you've seen that interview where she interviewed Will's other.
Yes, I did see that. It was interesting because they said, I mean, they're good now, but it took them a minute to kind of get there. But they are a family, so they're making it work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think any situation like that is hard.
It's different. It might be awkward. It's new and someone new around your child. So I can definitely see. But it's not impossible.
Yeah, it's not impossible. And to a certain degree, I think it's kind of necessary. Not like completely, like, I don't think they need to be like best of friends and everybody go on like quadruple dates. But if that's what you want, then that's fine. But I just think I like to be able to have conversations with anybody that spends a significant amount of time with my child.
You're right, exactly.
So you have to kind of take the grain of salt and kind of put whatever happens kind of in that type of thing.
Yeah, because then there would be times when, they're with your child and you're not. So it's like, yeah, I want to get to know this person. They're not going to be around my child and I don't know who they are or their story. So it is necessary.
Yeah, that's where that communication comes in, because all parties kind of have to be on the same page. Because I've seen other situations and stories where they just don't talk and it goes south.
Yeah,
it goes south.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, but luckily that's not your story. You guys are working it out, being the Johnsons and everything.
Yes,
that is so wonderful. Well, I think that was everything. I think this was a very productive episode. I kind of covered.
Yes, I'm glad I came on, got over my stage fright and
Absolutely. So I'll be reaching out to you more for different topics because this is going to be, an ongoing thing. The audience is growing and I'm really excited. So anyone follow shespeaksfreely.com. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have a website, and I and there's a digital community, because I want to have more of these conversations with more women and get this information out to a broader audience. So thank you for everybody who watched till the end, and we'll have a new episode next week.
All right. Talk to you
All right,
later.
bye.
Bye, everybody.